Yes, people, welcome back to another Offside Trap video. Today I'm joined by Doc. Doc, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Welcome in to everyone in the chat. I hope everyone's well.
Big P, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Bill. I hope everyone's well. And let's get on with the show.
Dan, how are you getting on?
Absolutely spiffing. How are we all? Hope we're good.
I'm going to get straight into it. Arsenal, I want to highlight with their win against Brentford. Do you see Arsenal now becoming, obviously them now getting top of the table? Do you think that will help them? Do you think that the game tomorrow that we'll touch upon with City and Liverpool, do you think that they're going to go for a draw, get a draw or something, and Arsenal are going to manage to crack on and actually win something? Or what's your thoughts, Doc? I'll start with you with Arsenal.
I mean, again, with regards to what we spoke about last week, I think winning today shows the mentality of them, and that was a massive, massive win today. If they would have dropped points today, they'd be kicking themselves in the in the international break. I do feel like this break's come at a bad time for Arsenal. They've got the momentum at the moment. They're winning games, and I think that it gives Liverpool an opportunity to get some of their players back, not just back, but actually fit. Same with City. It gives De Bruyne a little bit of a rest before he goes again. So I think this break could ultimately be coming at a really, really bad time for Arsenal. But that being said, like I said, massive, massive result today. That win was the be all and end all. Forget the fact it wasn't as convincing as they have been over the last few weeks. That win is massive. So, yes, I think Arsenal were thereabouts. I think in an ideal world, from Arsenal's perspective, they're going to want to draw tomorrow, obviously. I'm not so sure they're going to get the result that they want tomorrow. I do think there's going to be a winner. But yeah, I mean, it's getting exciting, isn't it? Especially with them having City soon as well. It's getting very exciting now. It's nice to actually be sitting in this position where it's so close with three teams, as opposed to someone outright winner, and then it's like, is one going to catch them? Now it's not even that, is one going to catch them? There's two there fighting for it, three in total. So yeah, exciting times.
Dan, what's your thoughts on
it? Gutted, to be honest, in a word, because obviously it kind of, they're right up our asses now. But yeah, they're the form team, aren't they, in the Premier League? They just win. That's all they seem to do since the turn of the year. They're coming right bang into form at the right time. But we will know more about Arsenal's title credentials. I know they're top of the league now and they have to be taken seriously. But listen, we will know more about how much of a genuine threat they are to dethroning Manchester City when they go to the Etihad. If they can get something there, then I think they'll feel extremely confident. But yeah, that is going to be the massive acid test. If they can go there, come away with a point, I think they will be happy. And I think that will prove they are not just top of the league for the moment, but a real genuine threat. If they can go there and win, then I make them favourites regardless of what happens tomorrow. So yeah, that's the way I see it. But we'll see what happens.
Big P, what's your thoughts with the Arsenal situation and everything that's going on with the title charge?
Yeah, look, they done well today, didn't they? They won 2-1. Didn't have all the game. I know they had a lot of it, but Brentford come at them as well. For me, they done well. I think tomorrow's game, Liverpool have to win it to keep the league interesting, because I really see Arsenal getting nothing at City. So for me to keep the league interesting, I think Liverpool have to win tomorrow. I disagree with Doc on the international break. I think it comes at a right time for Arsenal. A lot of their players have played a lot of games this year, so they sort of get a little rest. Not that many of them are going to get a rest because they're probably called up for their national team, but they also get players back like the Tomiyasus and other individuals that they got injured at the minute. So for me, they're doing well at the minute, don't get me wrong. And as everyone's touched on, they are the informed side in the league, but I just think their game at City is massive now. It's even bigger than what it was, and tomorrow's game is probably 10 times bigger.
Yeah. So with the Arsenal situation and everything going on there, realistically, and I want an actual answer from all of you, who do you think is actually winning the league? Do you think Arsenal are going to get over the line? Do you think Liverpool are going to just be as relentless as they usually are? Or do you think City are going to sort of capitalise and do what City do, which is win the league every season, it feels like? Doc, I'll start with you on it.
I mean, for me, nothing's changed. My stance isn't going to change. I still see City having too much for the pair of them over the duration of the season. Even if City got beat tomorrow, when you look at the points tally, I can still see them going and doing the job against Arsenal. I think that would motivate me even more to find that performance. And that's the thing with City, isn't it? I think when City need a result, they generally get it. So if they don't get the result when they need it this week, I would definitely see them correcting that against Arsenal. So for me personally, I think City will still win the league. I think the only difference now is if you ask me, come this time tomorrow, if Liverpool beat City, then I might be leaning a little bit more towards Liverpool getting second and Arsenal coming third. But like I said, I think City will win tomorrow. And I think if City win tomorrow, I can really see City winning the league, Arsenal second, and Liverpool finishing third.
Yeah. Dan, I feel like I already know what your answer is going to be, but I'll ask you anyway.
I mean, I don't really like sitting on the fence. You can make cases for all three of them winning the league. You can see how all three could go on to win the league. I've always said that's a complete lie. What I've said in recent weeks is that if Liverpool win tomorrow and Liverpool go into the international break top of the league, then I will be feeling extremely confident that we will win it. Because the international break, I know we've got Manchester United next week, but I think we've got more or less a 2-week break then between games. It gives us a chance to rejuvenate the squad and get everyone back in. We'll have the majority of our injuries back. Alisson, Trent, I think Curtis Jones, Diogo Jota may be back after the international break as well. So if we can win tomorrow, it is absolutely massive. And if we can win tomorrow and we get through the international break without picking up any additional injuries, then I'll be extremely confident that we can cross the line. So yeah, I'm backing my boys. I'm backing Liverpool to go ahead and do it. It's a massive game tomorrow, but listen, let's have it.
Sorry, just before you go on to P, Dan, when you say win tomorrow, I mean, in your eyes as a Liverpool fan, is it a must-win game? You must win it, or with regards to the point, keeping you right in the mix and ultimately keeping you, a lot more competitive? Would you? I mean, I'm sure, realistically speaking, any club that plays against City would be content with a point. But from a Liverpool perspective, how would you feel with a point if you got the point?
A point wouldn't be the worst result in the world, but tomorrow we have to risk losing in order to try and win the game. We absolutely have to try and make a real dent in City. Not that it would be a major dent. It'd only be, what are they now? 3 points behind, are they? 2 points behind. So if we win tomorrow, we're 5 clear of City. City, for me, have always been the real dangers. Arsenal, they're creeping up the league. They're the 4th team in the league. But City have always been the sharks. City are hunting us down. And once Manchester City get in front, people talk about how these twists and turns and whatever else. Manchester City do not do twists and turns. Once they are in front, you are not catching them. There's no stopping them once they're ahead. So tomorrow we absolutely have to win. And a draw wouldn't be disastrous. But like I say, we have to risk losing in order to win the game. We have to really, really put it on them and try our best to get those 3 points. And I know we're going to touch on it a little bit later on and in a little bit more detail. I think we have to try and blow City away early. I can't see us winning a game where it's kind of end to end. We have to try and blow them away early, the same way we did, 2018-19 season, where we'd go up 2 or 3-0 early and then just control the game. We have to do that, I think, tomorrow.
See, I think that's why the draw for me would be a better result for you than for them. Now, a lot of people would think that City coming to Anfield, a draw is a good result for them, but exactly what you've just touched on. exactly what you said. As soon as they go top, for me, that's game over. There'll be no coming back. So if you draw tomorrow, and then they've got Arsenal coming up, there's still a bit more pressure on them. So that's why I totally get where you're coming from, but I just think that if the game's 1-1 with 5 minutes left, you're playing a very dangerous game if you're chucking people forward, going for the win, because that win could come back to bite you on the arse a little bit.
Yeah, of course it could. Yeah, it really, really could. But ultimately, you need to be taking risks. You don't win anything if you don't take risks. Not just in football, but in life. Not to be all Gandhi about it, but generally that's what happens. In order to achieve, you have to take risks. We have to try and win the game tomorrow. It's like I say, a point wouldn't be a disaster, but 3 points is more or less essential to maintaining where we are at the moment.
Moving on, Big P, before I get into your question, Martin has recognised your new house. Big P got a new place.
Tell him I'll invite him round for dinner one night.
But yeah, realistically, who are your favourites for the league?
Me, Liverpool. I think they get a result tomorrow. Looking at their remaining fixtures, they go Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home. They travel to Old Trafford, which is probably not the worst place to travel at the moment. They're at home to Palace. They're away at Fulham. They're away at West Ham. At home to Spurs. Away at Villa. And they finish the season at home to Wolverhampton. I know Arsenal have still got to go to White Hart Lane. They've still got to play Chelsea at home. Now, we know London derbies ain't the easiest of fixtures to try and sort of play, especially in hostile environments, which they're going to be. City, I'm not too sure on their fixture list, but we know they've got Arsenal coming up. So for me, I think if Liverpool can get a result tomorrow, it's in their own hands.
So when you say Liverpool your favourites, is that solely based on your understanding that they get something tomorrow, and if they don't get something tomorrow, your perspective would change, or do you generally think?
I think with them fixtures, I think even if they lose tomorrow, they could still go on to win the league. So I still think City could drop points somewhere.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I totally get that
with Liverpool's fixtures, I don't see them dropping points.
All three of them can go on to win this league, and even this weekend, with the video that we posted, a lot of the fans had a lot to say about. Didn't realise the league was over this year. We're not naive. We're not silly. People that are watching our show, we are aware that no one's getting the trophy this week. But like what me and Dan have touched on, if City go top this weekend, that is where I think the problem is. I think all the while they're not top. Obviously, there will always be question marks for me personally. Are Liverpool going to actually match them week for week? And if they do, they're going to stay above them. So for me, it's all about when City go in front of them. And it's not if City go in front of them. For me, it's when they go in front of them. But I think a lot of Liverpool fans should be looking at, like I've just said, if they don't go above you this weekend, then all you've got to do is match them from there on in. But for me personally, I still see Liverpool dropping more points over the remainder of this season than City will, which is why I believe City will win the league.
Yeah. Moving down the league table a little bit, Doc, I'll start with you on this one, being the Palace fan you are.
Cheers.
A point at home to Luton.
Yeah.
What's your? How do you feel? Do you still think that the manager's got it right with how his style of play and his implementation will? Can you see the progress already, sort of thing, even with a point at Selhurst to Luton?
So there's 3 different parts to that question, and there's 3 different answers. So, me personally, a point at home to Luton isn't acceptable. Full stop. Like, I don't class that as acceptable. However, based on what we've just said about the top of the table, it's the same sort of principle at the bottom of the table. At the end of the day, they're the team in the relegation zone, and people are saying we're in a relegation zone. So all the while another game goes by where this club hasn't bridged the gap to us, it's not the worst point in the world. With regards to the new manager, I'm frustrated today, but I'm content today. And the reason why I say that is a lot of Palace fans over the season with a 1-1 draw against Luton would be coming in here saying we've played defensively, it's not good enough, we should have gone for the win. You're not seeing that under this new manager. 23 shots today. So the progress is there. The work rate is there. Everything's there. We just haven't been clinical today. The frustration part of it is another late goal. And the stats that's come out today is just, I could pull my one hair out that I've got. 22 goals conceded in the last 15 minutes of matches this season. 22 goals. Like, when do you learn your lesson? When do you actually start thinking to yourself, I conceded late last week, I've got to stay switched on. It's not like these are world-class goals where a guy's frustrated taking a pot 30 yards and no one can stop it. They're coming from crosses into the box where defenders are not attacking the ball. And I spoke to you about this earlier, Bill. It shows for me the fatigue of the team. And I think there's no coincidence that because we haven't got our full team out, we're putting our best 11 out, and these goals are coming in after we make the changes. And I think that ultimately, it is the changes that's causing these goals. If we could keep the same 11 fit for the full 90 minutes, we might have a different conversation. I do believe moving forward, a lot of these problems will go away when we have our full 11 out, because I don't think we will be as defensive. So I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. I'm taking the positives from today as opposed to the negatives with regards to the amount of opportunities that we've created. So under this manager, we are creating chances. We are going out to win games. So there's a lot less issues now than what there was. So yeah, like I said, point's a point. Don't get me wrong, if we'd have lost today, I'd have been having a different conversation with you. But the fact that we haven't lost, no harm done, really. No harm done.
Dan, with the Palace, obviously from an outsider's point of view, what would you say? What would you say is like? Do you see the manager's sort of style of play being implemented already? Do you think that it is a poor 2 points dropped at home? What's your thoughts with Palace?
I mean, if you have a look at how Roy Hodgson kind of set up and the personnel he had, it was kind of tailor-made to how Hodgson, has always played typically. With Glasner, it's a little bit different. He's a little bit more expansive, a little bit more on the front foot, not as compact defensively as Hodgson. It's going to take time ultimately. I mean, it always does. You never really have a manager come in and they hit the ground running. Yeah, sometimes you get the manager bounce and whatever, and results can pick up initially after a little bit of a honeymoon period. But typically speaking, things do take time, and I think probably avoiding that manager bounce and that honeymoon period where you just seem to do nothing but pick up points is probably the best thing that can happen to a manager like Glasner and a club like Crystal Palace, because the last thing you want to do is kind of become a victim of your own success. Say, for example, he set the world alight when he first come in and he won the first 6 or 7 games, and all of a sudden that kind of boost that players tend to get when a new manager can come in wears off, and all of a sudden Crystal Palace come back down to earth. All of a sudden, fans are a little bit unhappy. It's like, well, you've done this in the first 6 or 7 games. How come you can't maintain it? But ultimately, it'll take time. I like Glasner. He's achieved a lot in his career. I think he averages almost 2 points per game over the course of his career. So just give him time. The proof's in the pudding. He's a good manager. I think give him a couple of transfer windows to get who he wants in, and things will start. Crystal Palace will start turning a corner, I think.
See, the one thing I do want to just quickly touch on that I didn't touch on just before we go to B is this international break for Palace's perspective has come at a very good time. It gives It gives the manager a lot, some good time to work with the players. It gives us an opportunity to get back Geehy, hopefully, potentially Elise as well, which is going to be a massive plus. And the interesting thing is even though we're on an international break, he's chosen to take the team away to Spain, and we've got a friendly penciled in against an Austrian team in Spain. because he obviously wants to carry on with the work. Now, obviously, some of our players will be away on international duty, and it does worry me with these friendlies, because just imagine if we pick up another injury to a key player in that time. But I understand why you would want to do it, and I trust the process, you know. So, like I said, I think it's come at a good time for Palace.
Yeah.
Just a quick one before we go on to Big Pete. Obviously, Doc, you have no idea who Glaston's going to be looking at in the summer. But obviously, next year, first full season for him. What would you take now? What would you be happy with in terms of a finish next year?
Ooh. Well, that's a tricky one with regards to, again, with Palace, the two biggest questions there is not only do I not know who's coming in, I don't know who's going out. So,
yeah, sure.
Again, if we're going to lose key players, it may well be that, you know, we're not going to necessarily shoot up the league, but we'll sustain the league position better with more attracting football, which will put a few questions to bed over Palace. But me personally, if I'm totally honest with you, I want a top 10 finish. It's plain and simple. I want to finish for the first time in Palace's history in the top half of that league. I'm a realistic top 10. I don't expect Europe. I don't even expect to be competing for Europe. I'm talking last game of the season, we win, another team loses, and we nick that 10th spot. Over the moon with that. I'll take that all day. But realistically speaking, I think we need a top 10 finish.
Yeah. Pete, just quickly before I ask you about Palace, Martin has also asked when you've invited him around for dinner, can you play a bit of Beethoven Symphony 7 on the piano behind
Tell him
you?
100%. Free of charge as well.
You keep saying tell him, he can hear you, Pete. You're telling him. You don't need that.
Yeah, you tell him yourself, mate.
Tell him, yeah.
So, Pete, with an outsider's point of view like Dan as well, what's your feelings with the manager at Palace and those sorts of things in that whole scenario itself?
And remember our phone call conversation before you start waffling.
I actually think he's had a decent start, mate, to be honest with you. He's beaten Burnley, which was his first game. He's lost at Spurs, but not many clubs go to Spurs and win anyway. And he's got a draw today. As Doc touched on, you look at their stats today, they're a lot different to what Palace fans are used to seeing, and that's no disrespect to Palace fans. It's just, they can't choose who's in charge of this club, but I can't remember the last time I see Palace have 20+ shots on goal.
Nor can I.
Yeah, and you think about it, they've got a point today against, I'd say, a fairly decent Luton side. Luton ain't a bad side when it comes to it, the be all and end all of the football. But look at today: Brentford beat, Everton beat, Forest ain't played yet, Luton they've drawn with, Bournemouth have got a draw at Sheffield United. Away at home to Sheffield United. So everyone around them has dropped points. So for me, I think today's point's a good point for Palace.
We'll see. Have you seen the goal yet? Just out of curiosity.
No, I haven't, no.
Well, get on Match of the Day, peeps, because there was a little cheeky back heel for the goal. Very, very cheeky. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll have a look.
Cheeky.
I will have a look. But everyone around them's dropped points, and as I think international break is perfect for Palace, he goes away. Not only can he have a look at his fringe players in this friendly they've got, maybe chuck a few kids in there, see what they're about. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine that people like Eze are going to go out there and play a full 90 minutes just because of that fear factor of injury. But it gives him time to look at the fringe players, gives him time to look at the kids, doesn't it?
Eze might be in the England squad anyway, potentially. Really? I hope he's not, but he might be.
Yeah, see who's good enough, see who's not, see who he gets rid of. That's what I think it is personally.
So with Doc discussing obviously the clinical side of it with their shots, but not actually scoring. Me and Doc were discussing backstage. Do you think Dominic Solanke would go to a club like Palace, or do you think that Solanke would be aiming a bit higher? Obviously, he's proven himself at Bournemouth. I think, well, me personally, I think he's been really good at Bournemouth this season. Do you think maybe Palace is too much of a similar step rather than stepping a bit further up? Because realistically, do we think Solanke is getting in a top 6 side as a striker? For me personally, I would say no. I don't think he's that level, but I do think that he's a good Premiership level. So
Depends what you call top six, doesn't it? Like you look at, say Villa lose Watkins, it could be an ideal replacement. I know we're looking at him. He's our number one transfer target for the summer. Do you know what I mean? So, do I think he'll go Palace? It's tough, isn't it? Because you just don't know what money they're going to throw at him. But for me, it's a sideward step. He's not. I don't think Bournemouth are any bigger or better than Palace. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's a sideways step for me.
Yeah. Well, so I said the same thing, just for the record, just before anyone thinks I'd said anything different. I don't see Solanke wanting to go to a Palace, because why would you want to risk being the main man at Bournemouth to go to Palace? Oh, all right, he would still be our main man, but ultimately, why would you risk the unsettledness and everything else and not being as successful at Palace and not fitting into a system for the sake of potentially a couple of positions? So for me personally, if Solanke is leaving, your mob is a team I see him going to, a West Ham, where potentially European football, and if you just miss out on European football, potentially helping you get European football next year. So I think that's the sort of move for Solanke. I don't see him being a Champions League striker. Excuse me. I don't see him being a Champions League striker. There was big question marks for me when I see like Chinese whispers of Arsenal potentially trying to go for him in January, although I don't believe it was a realistic target, and I don't believe it was realistic for Arsenal to bring any striker in January. But I wouldn't, would he score goals? Absolutely. I'm not going to say he won't score goals, but for the money it'll cost, if you're in the Champions League, you need a bit more of a Champions League quality player as opposed to just someone that can score you a few goals in the Premier League.
Do you know what I say, Doug? I know you've mentioned on Champions League. I'm going to go back to his time at Liverpool, and I thought then if he was good enough, he would have played.
He was a lot younger at Liverpool, though, wasn't he?
He was, but I don't care how old you are. If you're good enough to play at 17, to play in the first team, you'll make it in that first team at 17. Do you know what I mean? I think the Liverpool move was more money bags than what it was anything else, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was.
I feel personally that if he was good enough, he would have played for Liverpool, and he didn't. So,
yeah. Dan, well, with the Solanke situation, obviously being a ex-Liverpool player, what would you say about it? Do you think that he is good enough? Do you think maybe he warrants maybe a move back to a sort of top six club or a Champions League club, or do you think maybe he needs to just stay at Bournemouth and sort of can't even think of the word I'm trying to say, but basically just improve himself more?
Yeah, I mean, Dominic Solanke is going to score goals, but he's going to score goals in a particular system. I don't think going somewhere like Crystal Palace, where you've got a coach like Glasner who kind of wants his strikers dropping in between the lines. I don't think that would get the best out of Dominic Solanke, to be honest. He's a bit like a traditional 9. So kind of plays between the centre backs on the last line of defence, target man sort of thing. So Crystal Palace, for me, given the fact that they've got Oliver Glasner now, that wouldn't be the right move for him. In terms of him going to like a top 6 team, not really, to be honest with you. Like he's already touched on, him coming to Liverpool was always a financial move rather than a footballing move. We kind of bought him from Chelsea with the view to kind of selling him on and making a few quid off him, and that's exactly what we did. I think he'd probably be at home in a team that's kind of wanting to break into that top half, or maybe looking to sneak into Europe via the cat flap. But in terms of like top 6, no, I don't think he's good enough for a team like that, to be quite honest.
I must admit, though, I have just thought of someone, though. There is one club that potentially I could see him going to.
Don't say my club, Doc.
No, in the top 6.
I've got one club as well.
Yeah, so for me, it's Tottenham.
Oh, no.
The reason why I say Tottenham is because they've not got many striking options, and there is a lot of talk that Richarlison will be going to Saudi for big money, and we all know that guy loves a pound note. So, if he's offered a big payday, I think he would be on his heels quicker than you could say abracadabra. And obviously, he is English. Solanke ticks the English box. I know that they're talking about losing a couple of their young English players. So I could see him going to Tottenham. But that's the only top 6 team that I think realistically would even entertain it, me personally.
The club I thought of, and it would work well with who's the manager there, would have been Wolverhampton Wanderers. Gary O'Neill, the manager, would have worked with him at Bournemouth. Probably fitting quite well there at Wolves, and then looking to break that top 10, top 8.
But they're not top 6, though.
But would you take him at Chelsea? Would you take him back, given the fact that you've got Nicholas Jackson?
Given the fact we've got Nicholas Jackson, yeah, I think. Do you know what it is? I think I like to appreciate footballers and what they can do.
Yeah.
And I've learned from being a Chelsea fan that if you're good, you ain't going to make it at Chelsea because we just ruin careers. So
I have got a bone to pick with you, actually, Bill, and you have just touched on this. And I hope this isn't true. I hope what I've seen with my own eyes is one of these videos that's been tampered with, and it's not the original. But have you seen Hazard's interview about Jackson?
No.
He's basically said that he reckons he's going to win a Ballon d'Or, and he's one of the best strikers in world football, and he's got all the potential in the world, and he's going to find his feet, and he's going to basically take the world by storm. And I'm thinking to myself, I know you've had a lot of injuries, Hazard, but I didn't realise you had a couple of bangs to the head, fella, because you are come on.
Do you know what? I think with Jackson, I think we've seen him at his best out on the wing, believe it or not. Like when he's played on the left and he's dropped deep, or he seems better out on the wing, which is frustrating because we signed him as a striker. We need a striker, and we keep signing anyone but a striker. But yeah, maybe not Ballon d'Or level.
Can you pin that comment, please? Can you just pin that comment for a sec, please? Name and shame. Can you pin that comment? Pin it.
Martin, but I think Jackson is bloody quality as well.
Yeah, Martin. That's the end of dinner and boat over, mate.
And obviously, we haven't been on this channel very long, but I take it there's a block button. Is there a block button?
No, there isn't.
We need to find one for Martin. And if we haven't got a block button, we need to call him a taxi. Martin, rein that right in. Are you having a laugh?
I think, look, realistically, the club's in turmoil as it is. But if you're looking at it, Jackson has put up better numbers this season than what Drogba did in his first season at Chelsea. Look, numbers don't lie. I'm gonna Dan, you've got a question here from Martin. Dan, do you miss the days of Ricky Lambert and Andy Carroll up top? Much better than Salah, Núñez, Diaz, and Shota.
Yeah, I missed them like too thick.
I think Martin's on the old Spice Ramos.
The thing is, though, this is where I love the fact that comments can't run away from you, because you've led in with that comment, Martin, and then 30 seconds later you've come in with Jackson, his bloody quality. So I'm now going to ask you the same question in reverse after what Bill's just touched on. Are you happy with seeing Jackson as your main man after having Drogba, even with his stats? Like when you see your team sheet, when you see the physique of the player, come on.
Yeah.
You can't be serious.
Ricky Lambert are getting that team ahead of Jackson at the minute.
And Andy Carroll.
I understand the memes around Jackson, and look, he is wasteful in front of goal.
I don't think you do.
I'm not disputing that, but it's not like Jackson's a bad footballer. I think
he's not a good one either.
Listen, I haven't got an issue with Jackson as a player. I haven't got issue with Jackson as anything. My main issue is the fact that you think it's acceptable to have this poor lad up top on his Jack Jones trying to hold the ball up and do all of this other stuff that you need from your number 9 and think that that's the guy. That's where I've got a gripe.
Doc, it ain't Jack Jones, mate. It's Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, well,
He's more interested in Ashford Duarte and he is scoring goals.
Jackson is playing 9 in the shambles of a club. Well, listen, we don't make the rules. We just abide by them. Maybe, just maybe, he shouldn't be so greedy with his finances and he should have picked a club that isn't a shambles. Just going to put that out there.
Yeah, but I think you can't argue with the money. Doc, if someone came to you, right, and said, I'll give you I'll give you 120 grand a week to play up top for Chelsea. You know that potentially you're not good enough to do it, but you're going to take the money, aren't you?
Here's the thing, right? And people are going to think that I'm trolling and people are going to think that I'm exaggerating. But I'll be real with you. I'll be deadly real with you. If I was not Jackson, but me personally, if Chelsea offered me 120 grand a week to go and be a number 9 at Chelsea, when I know full well that that's not my game and that's not what I do, and a Newcastle offer me 100 grand a week, I'm taking the 100 grand a week and I'm going to Newcastle.
Yeah, but Jackson didn't get offered 100 grand a week at Newcastle.
I'm sure he could have.
Yeah, you can't just think of theoretical situations to favour your point of a real situation.
So you're implying like he had one offer, it was Chelsea, and that was the only offer on the table.
Probably.
And if that's the case, then he's not as good as you might think he is.
Probably the only one's daft enough to sign him, to be fair.
Martin's put, I think Jackson is better than Gabby, Jesus or Alvarez at Arsenal or City. He's young and they're in much better sides.
That's a massive, massive, massive statement because I tell you what, I honestly think if you put that Alvarez in the Chelsea team, I think he would have scored more goals this year than what Jackson scored in that Chelsea team, me personally.
We've got a United fan sticking up for a Chelsea player over... Martin, here's a question for you in the comments. Who are you taking, Jackson or Højlund? If Jackson's that good,
you just said that he's better than Isaac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's barely better than Isaac Newton. Jeez.
P, are you in the same boat as Doc and Dan?
I think Jackson's a waste of space, mate, if I'm honest. I watched the African Cup of Nations and he didn't even start for his country, so that tells you how good he is. And he don't even play for one of the mainstream African countries.
But when he does play for his country, what position does he play?
He plays out wide for his country.
Exactly, because he's not a striker.
Yeah. Martin's also put, Højlund is another level to Jackson, meaning that so Højlund is above Gabby Jesus, Alvarez, and Isak, obviously.
Anyway, I think the next topic of conversation is Manchester United, is it not? Let's bring him in on this conversation now, then, shall we?
I think he could be right with that one, that Højlund. I think he is better than them. You just know, maybe not Alvarez, but the rest of them I give him.
It's a squad game, P, what I'm saying. But yeah, so with Manchester United, obviously winning today, 2-0, 2 penalties. Do we see Ten Hag getting another season, or do you think his time's up? Doc,
let's not go to Palace to United, please. Too late. We're there, Martin. Sit back, get your popcorn, and enjoy the show. Here we go. Listen, Ten Hag is not the guy. Full stop. That's it. In a nutshell. Don't even really need to abbreviate as to the 165,000 reasons why he's not the guy. He is just not the guy. He is not the man for Man United's project to going forward. He is literally, he's not good enough. I'm very sorry, he's not good enough. He's not a good enough manager for the Premier League, and he will get found out. And regardless of what United do, if under Ten Hag, when all the other clubs strengthen as well, they will always be chasing the bone and they'll be chasing their own tails. They need an established manager that is cut out for the standard of football that they want to play. And if Ten Hag was that guy, they would already have a style of play in place. You've just spoken about Palace, and in 2 to 3 weeks, we can tell you what we're aiming to do. 18 months under Ten Hag, and I haven't got Scooby-Doo. I have not got Scooby-Doo what that bloke's trying to achieve. Because I can't even say it's all about winning. Because in games, he's not even trying to win.
Yeah. Dan, I'll come to you next. Obviously, being a fierce rival. What with Ten Hag specifically at the minute, do you think that he's going to stay after next season or at the end of this season?
I think he has to be given a chance, to be honest, given the changes that are about to occur at United. He has to be given a chance. Ultimately, we have a look at the managers that were there before him. You know, I know you said specifically Ten Hag, but I mean, they've had proven winners in that job since Ferguson left, and it didn't work out. So you have to be given, you know, the guy who is in charge at the moment, you have to be giving him a chance under the new sort of infrastructure, shall we say.
Why?
Why?
Why do we have to give him a chance, out of curiosity? 18 months of job already.
Yeah.
He's already won a cup and finished third. He's supposed to have kicked on. They've gone backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we trust this guy to do anything under the new regime based on his lack of progression this year? Why does he earn loyalty when any other club would have got rid of him? That's my question.
I think the reason why he deserves that opportunity is because when you speak to Manchester United fans, the majority of them will tell you that there are issues that they've experienced since Alex Ferguson left is you know, the majority of those problems are down to the board or down to the regime, down to the way the club is being run. Now the infrastructural changes are about to occur and the running of the club is about to get switched up. Things could be a little bit different. I mean, they've not had anyone in charge in terms of recruitment from a footballing point of view. It's all been kind of, you're a big name, let's just get you in sort of thing. They've had no sporting director. That's about to change. So I think with the changes, the man who's currently in charge should be given an opportunity. I think once the changes go ahead and there's a structure in place on how to do things the new way, I think Erik ten Hag could consider himself very unlucky to lose his job and not be given a chance, to be honest.
Here's my gripe, though. Here's my gripe. When we talk about the problems at Manchester United and giving him time, I accept that. I'm not one of I'm not one of these promoters of sack a manager. But you brought a manager in. He's won you a trophy. He's took you to third. You've backed him to a degree. You might not have backed him as much as everyone else, but you've still backed him. 18 months.
When you say backed him, what do you mean backed him?
Well, like financially. So when you say like the owners and everything else, like, you know, the new owners is going to change the perspective of recruitment going forward. And I get that. But my point is what warrants Ten Hag being trusted to manage all these new players coming in when he can't manage what he's got? Yeah. And people that say it's the players' fault, that don't wash with me, because these are the same players that got you third in the league and won you a cup last year. And you can't say it's the big wages they're on and everything else, because that doesn't wash with me. You know, nothing's changed apart from, in my opinion, these players don't like this manager and they're not playing for this manager because they don't like what he's doing. And for me, if I can't see an identity as a fan, there's no way these players are going to be able to buy into him, because there's nothing to buy into.
Yeah. Don't you? I know you mentioned wages there, but don't you think that is a problem though? Like, for example, I mean, you signed Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund and he's instantly on 350 grand a week. Don't you see how that could be problematic? Like, you're not giving... What incentive are you giving this player to go out and give 110% for the shirt every week?
No, listen, I'm not saying it's not problematic. What I'm saying is Sancho, right? We use Sancho as an example. They finished third. They won a cup.
Yeah.
They brought Sancho in after that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. So Sancho came in at the beginning of last season.
Right. So there you are. There's your answer. It wasn't a problem when you were third.
I think. Martin will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure he came in last summer.
Right. So if he came in last summer, it wasn't his wages wasn't a problem when you came third. His wages wasn't a problem when you won a cup. So why is his wages a problem now? Because things have gone sour. Sancho is an exception to the rule. Sancho's attitude changed, and Sancho, you cannot talk about Sancho other than the fact that his attitude has caused the problem. But what about all the rest of them? What about?
Yeah, but don't you think what I'm saying is, don't you think the money is basically the catalyst behind the attitude issues or the seemingly attitude problems that we see? Because it's happened with Pogba, it's happened with Rashford, it's happened with obviously Sancho, Lingard. Once these players get big money, and yeah, it happens in football. There has to be an incentive to push on. But once you go past a certain threshold and you start rewarding these players for, players that have been mediocre for X amount of time, and then they have a purple patch, and when you reward them with lucrative contracts like what happened with Lingard and Rashford, I mean, what sort of message are you sending there? We can kind of go through the motions, and it doesn't matter anyway because we're getting paid, and that's what I mean by infrastructural changes going forward. I don't think that will happen.
Yeah, but so what my point is. Rewarding bad performances, of course, and giving someone no incentive, of course. But the point is, how did they go from good to bad? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why have they gone from good to bad, where it's not like the new contract has come in and that's caused it, is it? It all coincides with Ten Hag at the helm.
Mm.
I think,
Martin put in the comments as well about Sancho came in under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So yeah, he's been at United. Obviously, he's not there now. So he's on loan at Dortmund, but this is his third season in contract with United.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because we've seen many players come from the Bundesliga into the Premier League and not do well. Havertz for us, Werner for us.
So I've got a question for Martin or you boys. Anyone that answers me. Solskjaer in charge last year, his last full year before he was sacked.
Yeah.
Where did they finish in the league?
His last full season, and he finished second, and then he got sacked midway through the following season.
So he finished second. He finished second in the league.
Yeah.
Where did Ten Hag finish in his first year? Third.
And a cup.
Right. So second and third in a cup under the likes of a Sancho and all these players. How can it be wages that's an issue?
Well, no, wages can definitely be a factor into player performances because if you're looking at, I think Rashford's an unfair example because I feel like with Rashford, he hit the scene at such a young age and then sort of has almost been unlucky in a way that he's been in such a mediocre team throughout his breakthrough period.
There's a few players you can put in this wage bracket. Sancho, going away from United, Aubameyang, Ozil.
Yeah.
Ozil, 500 grand a week, never played for Arsenal. Didn't play a single minute for Arsenal on 500 grand a week.
I just think potentially players deserve it, but in a way, like if they are playing phenomenal football, like Sancho was doing at Dortmund, he's going to want that contract. And with all the United fans on the owner's backs and on the manager's back saying, we want Sancho, the club are happy to then, or the club are then going to be more sacrificial in how much they spend on a player's wages in order to appease the fans.
But here's my thing though with United. Not just United, any club in particular, but United because we're talking about it. I still blame the manager. Right, Jose Mourinho, when he was in charge of Man United, turned around and told all of the hierarchy at Man United, there is about 10 players at this club that is not good enough to be at this club. Right, I don't believe for a second Jose Mourinho would sit there as a manager and let these owners give these players this ridiculous money if they wasn't performing without either saying no or if you do that, I'm walking. So I still blame Ten Hag. I'm afraid. He might not be writing the checks. He might not want it. But At the end of the day, if he's the manager and he can't get a Rashford on 250 grand a week performing, he's never going to get a Rashford on 350 grand a week performing. So for that reason alone, the player's staying because he's got the contract. So the manager's got to go.
Yeah. Martin's put in the comments here. I think United are going to become a force under the new lot, but echoing Dan, it needs time, and our key injuries are vast this season. We have spent so much money, but most of it was wasted. He's also said about Sancho, he seems like a bad bag egg, pain in the arse. Here we go. Look at what Klopp, Guardiola, Sir Alex, Wenger have all done. They built empires. They didn't really have instant success. No, but I mean, Guardiola got into a City side that won the league under.
I'll agree.
Two different.
Name me one of them managers. Name me one of them managers that you've just mentioned about that didn't have instant success and also didn't have an instant identity of what they expected and persevered with a style of play and developed the style of play they wanted. That's the difference.
Wenger didn't. Wenger didn't.
What, he didn't have a style of play?
No, he had a style of play, but he had to go in there and change a lot at Arsenal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He went in, changed the whole.
Arsenal had no identity when he joined.
Yeah, but we're talking
Arsenal
18 months in the job, Pete.
Huh?
We're talking 18 months in the job, mate.
Well,
Ten Hag's been at
when they
18 months.
first joined.
No, I'm saying all these managers, there's no instant success. We're 18 months down the line. Name me one manager that 18 months in out of all of them lot, where even if they weren't winning things, you didn't see how they were trying to win games.
But Ten Hag has won something, didn't he? He won a cup.
Eh?
He's got silverware, isn't he? He won a cup.
Yeah, but there's no identity, is what I'm saying. There's no identity.
Arsenal had no identity for years until Arteta come in. They've only just started to get their identity back.
Yeah, but that's my point. He's come in, and within a 2-year period, they didn't win anything under Arteta for the first 2 years, but the identity was there straight away. Everyone could see what Arsenal were gearing up to do.
I wouldn't say it was there straight away. Arsenal fans calling for his head about a year into his helm.
Who, Arteta?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, honestly, these Arsenal fans are the worst.
Arsenal fan TV during the COVID was absolute peak YouTube. Honestly,
I don't think Ten Hag would still be in his job now with his lack of identity at any other club. You look at Emery at Arsenal, where decision was made, the trigger was pulled. You look at Man United under Moyes. You look at Chelsea under every single manager after 2 weeks.
So what we're saying then is United have had no identity since Fergie left.
What's that?
United have had no identity since Fergie left.
No, I don't think that's fair. I think under Ollie they had an identity. I think under Jose they had an identity. Maybe not the Man United traditional identity, but every week you watch Man United, you knew what formation they were going to have. You knew what they were going to try and do. At Man United, it just seems Jack one-eyed. It just seems like every week, and even the fans are all saying, every Man United fan I speak to, they don't have a clue what's coming. There's not one game of football that they're confident of winning. Not one.
I think it's a bit harsh on Ten Hag, to be fair. I do. I think he's had to put up with a lot from upstairs within the club. 1 minute they were having Saudi take over, then Radcliffe come in, then there was something like 11 bids from Saudi. So he's had to deal with a lot. The ground's falling down. The training ground ain't been updated since early 2000s. For me, I think they give him another year, maybe 2.
I just want to address Martin's comment because obviously he's aimed it at me with that. I'm not asking Ten Hag to fix your problems, mate. I don't expect Ten Hag to fix all your problems. What I expect Ten Hag to do is put a Manchester United team out there every single week that is competitive, that knows what they're doing, and your fans know what you're going to get. And I expect Man United under Ten Hag or any other manager that if you're playing Luton away, your fans should expect to win. Your fans are going into every game saying we don't necessarily expect to win. It's ludicrous. You're
Yeah,
Manchester.
but you could say the same about Chelsea.
Oh, I could say a lot about Chelsea, but I think I already have over like, you know, I think the two biggest clubs that are in a mess, and the only other club that gives Chelsea half a bit of hope is Manchester United, and that's not a compliment.
I think that's harsh. They finished third last year. They're sixth this year. I think this is
Exactly that.
Yeah,
Third
but
last
Chelsea
year,
finished.
sixth.
Chelsea finished 12th last year, maybe even lower. They're 11th at the moment.
So there you go then.
Let me give you a question, Doc. They
Chelsea
get
were
rid of
12th, and
they
they've
get rid
gone
of
up.
Ten Hag. They sack Ten Hag. Who are they bringing in?
I don't give a monkeys who they bring in.
Who are they bringing in to give them their
I
identity?
don't give a toss who they bring in.
Yeah, but who did Doc? Realistically,
You
the
can't say
managers
you
out
want
there.
Ten Hag to be out of a job and then not have a replacement for him.
It's not my job to find them a replacement.
No, I'm asking you, who would you like to see going at Man United?
An established manager that knows.
Right.
Like who? Give me a name.
Well,
Roy Hodgson.
I tell you what, at least under Hodgson, they'd have an identity within a week. You'd know they're
Right,
playing.
here we go. Hold on. Martin, I agree with Matt doing. We should play a similar style regardless of personnel. However, United are a shambles at build-up play without Shaw or Martinez. But yeah, Doc, back to the question. If you're looking at managers, right? So you're the owner of Manchester United. You sacked Ten Hag. He's not good enough. Who's out there that you'd hire?
There's loads of people out there.
And don't you dare say Jurgen Klopp, boy.
No. I won't waste my breath talking about Klopp because there's no way you would go to another English team that no man. But I'm telling you now, okay, who's out there? Tuchel's out there, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, come the summer, yeah. He'd be a good fit, I think.
So there's one without even thinking, but there's loads. It doesn't wash with me who's out there. You've got the Barcelona manager that's leaving that ultimately wants to come to the Premier League. So pick up the phone, ask the question. Like, there's plenty of options.
Antonio Conte.
Yeah, but we've seen Conte at another club, another English club.
I'm telling you now, and I don't think it would happen. I generally don't think it would happen. But Man United could do a lot worse at giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Jose Mourinho a second bite at the cherry based on their finishes under a regime that's going to back them. Because if they can finish second and third with the shambles of a club that they are, just imagine what they could do under a strong.
Okay. So Ten Hag finished third last year with the shambles of a club. Let's see what he can do under Radcliffe. But what? It's the same thing.
No, it's not. You're missing the point.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. He's in charge now, P.
So let's keep him on and see what he can do under the new owners.
They didn't take the clubs backwards and got sacked. How does that make sense?
Well, why'd they get sacked then if they didn't take the club backwards?
Because they felt that they were going to take the club backwards, so they got rid of them and brought someone else in to make that don't happen. And now they're sitting here letting this bloke do it, and he's getting away with it.
Yeah, because they know when Radcliffe comes in, he'll take them forward.
I'm telling you now, I will have a sportsman bet with any one of you that honestly thinks in the summer Radcliffe is going to keep him at the helm.
Well, no, because Gary Neville's already come out and said they know the decision.
Doc, hey, we'll leave the United chat there. Quickly, just before we head off, Dan.
Yo.
with the predictions, what happened last week? Oh, I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, the predictions. So just before we go into the updated table, I'm not going to be doing next week just because there's only 3 games, so there's no point. We'll just kind of 5 or more we'll do on a Saturday. So this is 3 next week. We'll just skip over it next week. But in terms of this week, so it's 3 points for the correct result, 1 point for 3 points for the correct score, 1 point for the correct result. This week, Billy had 7 points. Ooh. He successfully predicted 2 scores and 1 result.
What were the scores?
You got Man United 2-0, and you also got 1-1 between Luton and Palace. And you also predicted Arsenal to beat Bournemouth, yeah. No, Brentford rather, although you didn't get the correct result. So this week you got 7 points. So this week the table is Billy first with 7. Second is myself with 5 this week. I got the 1-1 correct myself. And when I predicted United to win and Arsenal to win, although I didn't get the correct scores, so I got 5. Doc in second with 2 points. And Paul, last but not least, 1 point. So the updated table overall, there's been a bit of a shift. Billy goes into the lead with 11 points. Me and Doc are joint second or third, whichever way you want to look at it, with 8. And sitting in last place in the relegations battle all by himself is Big P on 4 points.
That's very similar to how I sort of foresee this conversation and our clubs finishing next year, you know. West Ham being like lower than all of the rest of it.
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening.
Chelsea first? You see Chelsea first next season?
No. As in Chelsea finishing bottom out of our 4 clubs in the league.
What?
As in West Ham finishing lower than all of our teams.
Anyway, guys, if you like what you see,
yeah, we will leave it there. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you are aware when we post. We do post every Saturday at 9 p.m. It was a little bit later tonight due to technical issues, but we'll be back to 9 p.m. next Saturday. And yeah, Doc, any closing statements before we leave?
Thanks for coming. It's been emotional.
Dan?
Yeah, see you next week. And yeah, stay tuned. Notification bell on. So we're going to be hopefully doing daily uploads on the YouTube channel from next week going forward. So yeah, stay tuned.
And Big P.
Big game tomorrow. Burnley at home. Come on, you irons.
And on that note,
bubbles don't burst.
and on that note, Martin, thank you for the comments. Yeah, don't forget.
Also,
to
Bill,
comment.
just a quick one.
Yeah. Go on.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there that's a mother.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there.
Very true.
And we'll see you in the next video.
All the mums out there, have a lovely Sunday.
See you in a bit, guys.
Unless you're a Liverpool mother who's going to have a bad Sunday.
Darwin.